Greetings, friends, and welcome to Monday. Yeah, it's the tail end of the month, so this hardly counts for a month of vlogging. I was okay at the beginning of the month, but then as time passed on, unfortunately, just didn't do as well. But that's okay. I mean, we're all humans, we make mistakes, and I'm totally fine with my own. But I thought I'd vlog again today, and hopefully pick it back up from now until whenever. I do want to vlog more consistently. The main issue I have with the vlogging consistently is the fact that I don't really do a whole lot in my day-to-day life, so a lot of what I do is, just the usual, so I feel like I barely have much to talk about on these vlogs, but I'm hoping that will change. I am working on changing some things in my life that will improve things for the better, and I'm looking forward to implementing those into my daily life. For example, this morning, even though I was up quite late last night, I'll get into that a little later, I woke up supremely early. Supremely early by my standards. Now I know there are some early risers out there, like especially if you have to get up for work. If you have to wake up super early for work, then you understand something a lot better than I would be able to. But I woke up at like 6 or so, even though I didn't go to bed until well after 2 a.m. And again, more on that later. And I talked to Kayla for a little bit, I talked to another friend for a little bit. I got some writing done, which came as a big surprise to me. And then I just listened to music. And I was listening to very chill music. There's this playlist I found. It's 12 hours of relaxing Nintendo music, which I will hopefully download before Nintendo nukes it, because, that's what they do with videos containing their music. But the music was just so peaceful and calming that my eyelids started to feel heavy and things like that. And I started to really feel it in my eyes. I'm like, oh shoot, I am getting very tired. I should probably consider getting more rest. And I was talking to Kayla about that. I was telling them, even though I'm awake now, I'm really heavily considering taking a nap. And they're like, yeah, I probably will too, because they're usually pretty busy. Today's a holiday though, so they don't need to work, which I'm very happy for, because, yeah, for reasons everyone understands. But not long after sending that message, or having that brief conversation, I completely crashed. I laid down in bed, put my fan on, turned it on just a little higher, because I know it's going to be hot today. It hasn't reached the peak of the heat today, so that's why I'm still wearing a hoodie right now. But I laid down, closed my eyes, and I crashed hard. I had a very strange sequence of dreams while I was napping as well. It was one of those situations where I wasn't sure what was real and what wasn't. In the dream, I was actually questioning the reality around me, and I was thinking, am I really awake, or am I still asleep? I had no way of really noticing. And then part of my dream involved a a Tales of Phantasia musical written by Lin-Manuel Miranda. Yeah, that's the kind of crap I dream about, apparently. And I was supposed to play Cress, and my mom was taking me to our dress rehearsal, and it was the final dress rehearsal for the show, and it was supposed to be one of those situations where, hey, we're starting the performance tomorrow night, so you gotta get this down. And while we're on our way to the rehearsal, I turned to my mom and I'm like, I haven't gone to any rehearsal. I don't know the songs. I don't know my choreography or anything. I know the general plot of Tales of Phantasia, but that's it. I don't know the musical, if it exists. But I was panicking in the dream, and the entire time I was thinking, man, there's no way I can do this. What the crap? And then I ended up having some weird platforming adventure that was very video gamey, and it was very weird. and a whole bunch of people were messaging me and things like that. I remember sort of like a shot, because a lot of my dreams are in third person, so it's like I'm the camera looking at myself. And it was like a shot of me walking down like a city alleyway, and I was very suspicious of these old men that were following me while I was checking my phone and messaging my friends, and I had just got out of Wi-Fi range and couldn't use any cell service. So I got a little worried. I walked a little ways away and then turned around and then started walking back, making sure that the old men who were following me weren't following me, because for some reason I felt like I was being hunted in the dream, and I didn't have a reason to believe so. Maybe in the dream it made more sense, but in my waking hours, it doesn't. It really doesn't. But yeah, that's all I can remember from the dream, and since then I've been awake and playing Tales of Phantasia, because that is my new main game to play, and I believe that's why I dreamed about it, because I was thinking about it last night when I was up until 2 in the morning playing Dragon Quest XI. Yes, you heard me right. I was up until 2 in the morning playing Dragon Quest XI because I wanted to beat the dang game. I was committed to not only beating the game, but 100% completing it, at least by my standards. So my standards for completion were get everyone up to level 99, that's easy, you just find a place where enemies give tons of XP, and where metal slimes spawn, preferably, and you just grind. And I did that. That was the easiest part. The second part was completing all the side quests. Now that one wasn't as easy. Finding the side quests was the easy part, but one of the side quests required you to forge a sword that you can only obtain the recipe for by completing the Wheel of Harma trials, which is like this gauntlet of battles where you have to fight enemies with like specific groups from your party members and complete the battles within a certain amount of turns. And there are 5 trials in total. The definitive edition has a secret 6th one. I didn't bother because that doesn't count towards my completion goal. And I did finish all 5 trials. The final trial expected you to beat it in 30 turns or less to get all the rewards, but it took me 33 turns due to some bad RNG. But I went with it because you didn't need to get all the prizes to get the recipe for that sword. You only needed to do it your first time. So I could have lost the trial and still got the prize I needed to finish that side quest, but I went the extra mile, looked up the strategy, and just pulled that off. And then next was the horse races. Completing all the horse race cups, and yeah, not worrying about doing the hard difficulty. I did them all on easy because the race minigame is actually quite difficult for me. But I pulled it off, and I finished. I got all the materials needed to forge the Supreme Sword of Light, which is the ultimate sword for the hero. And then I looked it up and found out that the Supreme Sword of Light cannot be used to dispel the darkness surrounding the final boss that makes him so strong. You can only do that with the Super Sword of Light, which is like his default weapon by that point. So I was like, well, why would I use the Supreme Sword of Light if it's going to be less useful than his regular weapon? So I got the materials and everything, the intent was there, but I didn't do it in the end. I will do it for my post-game playthrough though, because I still have some other things to do, but my main quest, my main mission to 100% the game was finished last night, and I was up until 2 a.m. doing it. It was nice. I felt very content with doing that. I was struggling with that game for so long, because I had already played Dragon Quest XI on the PS4 when it came out back then. I already played it and beat it back then, but I don't know. I just kind of struggled a little bit with replaying it. I've talked about this before. I struggle with replaying really long RPGs when I already know most of the plot, like Persona 5 Royal, and it took me years to get through Dragon Quest XI, but I finally did it, and what changed last night was something I'll probably talk about in a later vlog, but I started studying Stoicism again, the Greek philosophy of Stoicism. And something I had learned from that is acknowledging that failure is okay, finding beauty in things that we don't typically view as beautiful. So I looked at the game and I was like, okay, so I'm not a big fan of doing all this tedious, busy work. My mindset changed on that later, but the more I did side quests and the more I went around helping out NPCs, the more I realized the importance of doing it. Dragon Quest games, at their core, are about humanity, and going out of your way to complete those side quests to help those NPCs is the hero proving that even though there is a dark star looming over everyone, and it's a potential cataclysmic event, he still has it in him to go around and help the woes of those around him. He acknowledges that yes, there is a bigger threat, but at the same time, if I can ease the people's worries right now, then that will make it that much better when we defeat this guy. And I could go into it for a long time, but I've been recording long enough. But ultimately, I loved Dragon Quest XI, and I feel I appreciated it even more my second time around than I did my first time. And it was a really good time. Anyway, I've talked your guys' ears off long enough. I think I'm gonna end the vlog there. Thank you guys so much for watching. You're all wonderful people. And let's try our best tomorrow.